Hey everyone. As you have gathered from the title of this video, more fun with Flying with Firearms. Before I get into it, and we will get into it, I do want to make clear about one fact. People sometimes will approach me like at cons or just in airports at this point, because a lot of y'all just kind of recognize me in airports, and that's cool. I don't really mind if you come say, hey, let me know how your day is going. But a lot of people who approach me will sometimes be like, oh man, yeah, you have like all those problems flying with your guns, right? And I don't really want to be known as that person, because the world has real problems in it. First of all, these are not real problems. I've never had a firearm stolen out of my luggage. I've never had one completely lost, even though sometimes they take a while to get back to me. But like, this is the law of large numbers, right? You put up enough numbers and enough segments and enough flights and enough time in the air, you're going to have an irregular day. You're going to have a misrouted bag. You're going to have a missed connection. Like that happens. The reason I put these videos out is not to woe is me and look how horrible the experience is. It's mostly to encourage people that it's not a bad experience. And because I'm the one out there constantly, like I just throw a gun in the luggage all the time, as you know. God, I swear to Christ, I'm gonna get the Flying with Firearms accounts page updated. I have hundreds of accounts that I just need to have somebody add to the site. Anyway, I'm out there doing all this flying because I want to have the problems. I want to experience something that goes wrong and document it so that you can learn from it. And boy, have I got documentation. I have had 2 flights in the month of April where I've had my gun case cut open by the TSA. And all of these have been failures, not just of the TSA, but of the firearms check-in process as a whole. So let's talk about it. Why did it go wrong? How did it go wrong? And how you can avoid the problem. Story time. This first flight was out of Austin, Texas. You'd think, oh, yeah, it's Texas. They know guns. They know what they're doing. No, that's no guarantee of any airport having its act together. It's almost person by person. And my person in this case was Andrew B., who couldn't be nicer, was very insistent that everything would go smoothly, and then he knows the process and didn't do a lot of things the normal way. He insisted on seeing my guns, like he wanted to check them out like at the check-in counter, which is not how any major airline does it anymore, Texas or no. They don't want any administrative handling of firearms, just unnecessary handling of firearms. If you have an airport worker who wants to like make sure your gun's unloaded and they check it, that's liability the airline doesn't need. Because then you get into, let's say TSA actually finds a magazine, a round in the chamber, who the hell knows. They're going to say, hey, this is a loaded gun, this is not allowed. Well, as a passenger, is it up to you to be like, oh, I don't know, the freaking Delta looked at it. They said it was unloaded. I didn't do anything. So the airlines don't want that shit. That's why anytime you check in, if you get an airport worker who's saying, well, I have to check your gun, they're completely out of policy. And I should have known something was up with this very cheerful guy who was very out of policy. And, you know, he's like, okay, and we're going to send these bags back. I'm like, no, please don't. Please send them back on the straight belt for special screening. Don't put them on the regular bag belt. It's going to be a problem. That's always the cause of the goddamn problem. No, we got you here. You're good. Sends him back. Okay, wait 15 minutes. He said, well, you're all right, been 15 minutes. We haven't heard anything. You're set. No, we'll talk about this in my how to avoid problems section later in the video. I said, no, I'm not set. Get on the phone, call the TSA. I want a confirmation that these bags cleared, because I know they're back there trying to figure out what to do because they want to open them. They always goddamn do. It's a big freaking Pelican case with a bunch of shit in it. And that, you know, Sandra is at this counter, Sandra gets on the phone and they're trying radios and nobody could find anybody. And I say, all right, you got to get to your gate, man. I'll tell you, we'll call you at the gate if there's a problem. Yeah, sure you will. So I'm at the gate, a red coat named Zira is there. She's on the radio, she's on the phone, trying to figure out what's happening. Do they have the key? Do they need the key? Does the TSA have the bags? Eventually, I get on the plane being told, no, you're good. Bags got loaded, you're fine. What happened when I got to my destination? Locks were cut off. And I had to deal with the staff in the BSO, who could not have been nicer. I mean, some of them could not have been nicer. Sandra was very helpful. Betsy from Delta said I should call Pete Buttigieg personally at the Department of Transportation and complain. And rightly, like, what are they going to do? They're not equipped from the airlines to deal with these kind of problems. They're not used to, wow, a gun case is here and there's no locks on it.
And they cut them off. They keep cutting them off because in Austin, they don't take them to a window and screen them and let TSA screen them before he locks it.
They were very uncomfortable, as some staff at airports are. They called the fucking police. So now I'm standing there with airport police, and all I want to do is just pop the bag open and see, is there a freaking TSA note inside, or are my guns gone? Who the hell knows what?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. As I was telling him, literally the last one on the plane, because they spent 25 minutes on radios trying to say who has it, who doesn't, what's going on. And there we go.
Well, where did you come from?
Austin.
Maybe it happened in Austin.
Oh, it definitely happened in Austin. Yeah. This is a repeated problem in Austin. Since after all, until I see what's inside the case, I have no idea if a nefarious person cut the locks off, if the TSA cut the locks. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's the goddamn TSA, but I'm standing there just trying to figure this out. And the airport police, they don't want to be down there. They yelled at the airline, not yelled, but they said, hey, stop calling us for this kind of thing. If there's not a missing gun, if there's not a man running around with a gun, we don't belong down here.
Generally, people come in with gun boxes, and there are no issues, but they want us to stand by while they start pulling guns out and inspect every single fucking thing in the case. No, dude. If there's a problem, call us.
Mm-hmm.
If something's missing, call us.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Not you, just individuals.
Yeah, no, I got it, man.
No, I didn't know who cut them off, and so then because I don't know who cut them
that's
off.
fine.
We've established there's nothing missing and there's no crime, so
Yeah, that works.
well, a crime of policy, but... Eventually, I check everything out. Sure enough, yes, there's an angry note in there from the TSA saying, oh, we had to cut your case open because no one told them the bag was coming down with a firearm in it. Next story I got for you. This is a story out of Reno, Nevada. Again, Nevada, very gun-friendly place. Reno, small town. You'd think that's not where you would find big city folk who don't know them firearms. No, it doesn't matter where you are. It just matters that people are out of policy. So Reno, Nevada, I'm checking in. I've got Irina, I've got Roy P, I've got Suzanne M, I've got Victoria, the supervisor. I get names from everywhere I go. And they're all trying to figure out how to check a firearm in. It's such a small airport that this is not like Delta staff wearing the nice Zach Posen drip, right? It's third-party contractors. So they're doing their best within the system. They tried to check the bag in and out multiple times, trying to generate a firearm tag on this thing. Eventually, they find a way to get the bag checked in. And I say, okay, now you're going to need the key, right? Where are we going with TSA? Because they're going to have to open this bag. And they say, we don't do that here. It goes on the regular belt. And now we're off to the races, because the race condition is, will I get word back from the TSA before I have to go get on the goddamn plane? And I'm waiting, and I'm asking them to call, and I'm asking them to use the radio, and nobody can figure out how to contact the TSA, which is its own problem in every airport. The idea that airport staff claim they can't contact the bag room ever, that's also hellishly annoying. Eventually, I mean, the flight's boarding. The flight is, and I got to get the hell out of there. So I say, look, what do you want me to do? My flight, the gate's going to close, and I'm still standing out here in the lobby. Suzanne says, well, here, I'll take your gun case key. And since I'm the one who will be up at the gate doing the final check, I'll just hand it back to you up there. If they need it, I'll have it. Which, again, seems very out of policy for me. But I didn't care at this point. Go through passenger screening, get up to the gate. Nobody's around. Suzanne's not around. They're about to close the door. The one person who's there, I'm like, hey, is there a freaking key for me here? They said, a key? What are you talking? I said, yes, my gun case. Oh, you're the gun case guy. I heard about that on the radio. And they're calling and they're radioing. And eventually Irina shows up and says, oh, yeah, Suzanne said they didn't need the key. Your case is fine. Here you go. I say, okay, great. I'm the last one on the plane. I sit down, get my pre-flight, drink served to me. I'm looking out the window, trying to see the bag belt out the plane, looking for my case to get loaded on. I'm not seeing it. And then my phone rings, and it's a Nevada number. Bear in mind, this is 5:58 in the morning. There's only one reason for anyone to be calling me at that early in the morning, especially from Reno, Nevada. I go, hello? Yeah, it's David from the TSA saying, hey, buddy, I'm here. I got your gun case. It's got your name and number on it. We got to get in this case to do a screening, and no one seems to be able to figure out a way to give us the key. So nobody went down to the TSA. Nobody called the TSA. Nobody did anything with the key. And now we're off to the races again, because I talked to the pilot. He says, yeah, go ahead and step off the plane. We'll hold it for you. I'm trying to figure out how from the TSA, are they coming up to the gate? Is somebody going down? Airport staff doesn't know what the hell to do. Again, there's people on radios trying to figure out how to talk to the TSA. And I'm like, take my phone. The dude's calling me. TSA just called me, David from TSA. He said no one brought the key down to them. I'm not sure. Between you and Suzanne, where did the key go?
Suzanne say me, stay at ticket counter, wait in TSA 5 minutes.
Okay.
I was waiting maybe 8 minutes. And I asked Suzanne, can I go? She said yes.
Okay. So no one actually went down to the TSA?
So if you want to take him off, I mean, if TSA needs to get into the bag, we can't take a delay for this.
So you need to handle it, Irina. I don't know. Check with Suzanne. I don't know what was the arrangement this morning. So
Already got to this point, then we'll just have to put it on TSA.
Ramp numbers were set at D1. We are all closed up down on the ramp.
So if you have all your bags, what is TSA looking into? Okay, you want me to pay a key for TSA?
Is anyone able to get the TSA on the radio? We know the name of the gentleman who's looking for the key. He said he was coming up here. His name is David.
So what's your decision? Is he taking this flight or
What are you talking about? They don't need to get in the bag. Jason just said they have all the bags and they're closed up. Give him his key and put him on the flight. What's going on up there?
Suzanne, he has a call from TSA. TSA personally called him and asked him to get out of the plane because TSA is coming here at the gate.
So if there are Jason, are you missing a bag?
I showed 3 bags that are supposedly in the bag room, but I just went and picked up the last of the bags 5-6 minutes ago, and so I don't know where the last 3 are that's showing my scanner.
Are you missing a firearm?
I couldn't tell you. There's no identifier by the bag tag.
Well, there are probably 2 of those tags are linked together. One's a CAPGT tag and one is a regular tag.
If you want to bring those out, I mean, we're still on the ground, and I can open the door and put them in. I'll be right there.
I'm just confused about if TSA has the bag still or if we have it in our possession.
Is there anybody who can radio the TSA?
Other bags while we're waiting, we might as well get 100%
I
bags.
don't know if I have contact with TSA with radio.
Is there a phone number? A red coat can do it. A red coat can reach the
This
TSA.
is red call. She's
Okay.
taken now.
I don't even know what's going on. Like, just give me 1 second and answer BT.
Okay, I need to know if we have the bag in our possession or not. That's important to figure out. There's no way for me to know that unless we can confirm the 3 bags that are missing, what they are. If we can figure out whether we have the bag or not, we can decide who needs to get into it, because Irina has the key to get into it.
Irina gave the key to me. I have the key.
He has key. I don't. Perfect. So again, if TSA needs to get into that bag, at this point, we're probably going to have to pull him because we're holding up an entire flight.
What did the TSA told you? They need to inspect the bag?
TSA said his name is David and he was coming right here. Can anyone get David on or anyone from the TSA?
Not yet. Can you speak to the passenger? Because I don't know what's the situation all about. The passenger is here outside and he had a personal call for...
So finally someone says, I'm going to just go to TSA. Right. So David from TSA said he is coming up right here to get the key from me. Just trying to figure out who David is and where he is in this airport. Yes, I imagine so. The confusing part is how I left my key with Suzanne, who said, I'm going to go to TSA. I will meet you. Yes.
I'll let you know in about 2 seconds. Because I'm
That's
almost
correct.
there.
So instead of anybody at all going to the TSA, no one went there and just stood around, and now we have this situation. Eventually over the radio, I hear that nobody was able to figure out how to get in touch with the TSA. Nobody knows what's happening. They cut the locks off.
Get
So what?
back here, guys.
Does the bag
Is
have
it
metal
for the
padlocks
right
on it?
passenger?
Does it have metal padlocks on it?
Yeah, but they didn't need a key. They're in it already. So you can board him. Victoria, do you want me to forward this bag?
Can you forward it because it's a firearm? Doesn't it have to go with him?
No, I mean it's just gonna be a voluntary separation. He has to pick it up. Well, it's the same as any bag. He just has to pick it up.
I say, okay, do you want me to get on this goddamn plane now or what? They say, yeah, get on the plane, your bag will be loaded, it'll meet you at your destination. And I think we're good.
Okay, yeah, he listens everything that you say. Yeah, he's good with it. So I'm boarding him right now.
Sit down, pick up my cocktail. I'm like, right here. And if someone comes on the plane and says, hey, there's a problem, we can't load your bag. Pray tell why, I ask, knowing the answer. And they say, well, it's unlocked and it's a firearm. We can't put that on the plane. Can it like meet you at your destination a different way? And I said, I'm not even gonna ask how you pretend that that's going to happen. What, are you gonna FedEx it 3 days later? I said, no, here. And I jump up, overhead bin, grab my backpack, and I pull out 2 more locks. I have rinky-dink spare padlocks. They're not really padlocks, they're little chintzy luggage cable locks. But I have them just for these sorts of emergencies, or if I'm ever somewhere that I need to lock a locker up at like a gym. So I say, here, you take these, they're your goddamn problem. And sure enough, somebody ran across the apron with these stupid locks, gave them to the TSA, I see my case get loaded, and I eventually pick it up in DC when I land.
I just talked to TSA. They said as long as he has locks, they're good with it, so I'm on my way.
Okay, he just handed me the lock right now. So we're good. I'm closing the door again.
Copy, I'm on my way. I'll meet you there in a second.
Let my problems be part of your solution. Here are some things that I will recommend and some changes I've been making to my travels that might be able to help. Right off the hop, some of you are noticing the fact that the locks on this table are not my usual Abloy Protex. Not because I've soured on Abloy, I still think they're a wonderful lock system, but you can't get them. And when you can get them, they're very expensive and they're hard to replace and they're hard to rekey. You have to go through a special provider, which, I mean, sure, you got security snobs. I still love those cats. They can still get you Abloys, but it started to literally become crazy that I was burning $50 or more per lock whenever there was a problem and they were destroyed. I have moved to Abbas. Again, love the brand. I don't work for Abbas, just like I don't work for Abloy. The Abbas 8345 especially. Why do I love this? That's a Schlage keyway, isn't it? Yeah, Abbas makes this lock available in multiple keyways. You can order it from CLK or from IML or from any other vendor. Like you can order these from locksmith suppliers in like the Schlage keyway or the Yale keyway or the Kwikset keyway or whatever you want that can match your house key. Now, is this lock keyed to match our house here? No, it is not. If you have the bidding of your house, you don't want that falling into the wrong hands. If somebody cuts the lock open, they could technically get that. But what I have done is cross-keyed this with our house, or technically with the garage access to the side of our house. So what I can do is I can use the one key that's compatible garage only, which is a key that's always in my wallet. I can operate this lock with my personal key, but there's also a key for all of my travel locks now that is unrelated to our house and unrelated to our garage and unrelated to my offices, but it's a Schlage key. I can use that key in these padlocks. I can give that key to the TSA or the airline, and I don't really care about that key. I don't care if it gets cloned or copied or written down, because again, it only does one thing. It's a really fun convenience factor for me that I can have multiple keys that operate these travel locks. They're still pinned to almighty hell, so they're trying to be manipulation resistant and bump resistant, but I like that. And if you have more questions about that, about what cross keying is or Maison keying is, how you can get these from a locksmith, ask me in the comments or ask me on, I'm not on Twitter anymore, right? You could ask me on Mastodon or on Blue Sky. Yeah, well, Blue Sky. It's the new hole feels a lot like the old hole used to feel. But the other thing that's really great about the 8345s, you can repop the shackle, right? You can swap out the shackle very quickly with a quick change tool, assuming the lock is unlocked and you pop the core out of the bottom, which is one set screw. In fact, since I have to do that, I'm probably going to drop in some footage right now showing me fixing these locks that were destroyed by the TSA, and I'm fixing it for, I don't know, what are these, $3, $4? Your price may vary from a locksmith, right? But you're just swapping a shackle out. You're not repinning the whole lock. You're not re-buying a whole lock. And they can take a hell of a lot of abuse. Some of these lock bodies, you can see the TSA really did not know what the hell they were doing until they eventually went somewhere and got some industrial grade bolt cutters to crack through these shackles. Shackle replacement. How does this work? Why does it work the way it does? Well, for those who aren't aware, here's what's going on inside this lock, right? You have a cylinder on the back of the plug. The tailpiece interacts with this actuator cam. So that tailpiece, that actuator cam, is blocking the inward movement of ball bearings in from the side. They can't go, they can't go. You give this a little bit of a turn, bang. All of a sudden, the ball bearings can fall much further inward, allowing the shackle to release. However, if you reach in there and turn it a little more, you have an even deeper cut on this side. This ball bearing doesn't matter, the toe of the shackle's out. The heel of the shackle, however, the ball bearing can fall in a little further, ejecting that whole thing. You don't have to take a billion pieces apart. All you have to do is eject the core with a little set screw, and then use an assisting tool to reach in and give that tail cam just a little more oomph over there. Let's do that right now with some of these winners that the TSA had a real goddamn field day banging on, but it's still a good lock. It's still serviceable. Let's put a key in there and we'll be able to pop this open. All right, that part's out. And of course, this piece we should be able to just pull. Twist around, get that out. We've got our set screw down there. Now, this would normally come out a little more smoothly because the TSA typically wouldn't have absolutely destroyed everything in there. But with that free, we need to give this a little more turn, a deeper turn. You can see there's actually a blocking element that generally prevents this from turning further, unless you can get in there behind that little blocking disc. Give it a little boop. And there we are. Ooh. Don't lose that extra ball bearing. That's not used to coming out of there, is it? You can see it right here too. Retaining ball bearing, recessed ball bearing. There we are. We're good again, just like that. Yeah, I keep some of those spare shackles on me in my bag now. I keep an extra little shackle change tool in my bag now, so heaven forbid, if there's a problem with my luggage and my padlocks, I can rekey them essentially in the field. I can repair them in the field. I don't have to rekey them, thankfully. Again, interchangeable cores. Good stuff. What else have I done to my luggage, however? Well, some of you have seen this in some of my travel photos, and I've alluded to this, and you've seen me at conferences occasionally with my big equipment cases. My Pelican cases now have latches that lock. Now, are these great locks? No, of course they're not. You got the little red diamond, you got the letters TSA on there. These are TSA compatible latches, right? These locks on here, which they come with a little operating key, or if you turn it, you can't push in the button, the latch can't easily pop open. But if you have your TSA key, which, I mean, who doesn't have a TSA key these days, that will also operate these. Why do I think these are a cool solution, however? Well, they're good enough in some circumstances. Do I think every criminal out there has a TSA key? Not yet. Do I think that having locked latches is a nice step in the right direction in some circumstances? Sometimes. You know this about the security world. Risk versus reward, security implementation versus security friction. You choose the balance that's right for you. And honestly, in some instances, these are right for me. When I'm traveling with low value items, when I just have a small carry pistol, I'm not going to a match with one of my, you know, like you're not traveling with a Roland Special and a freaking KP-15 with a bunch of optics on it. That might be fine. And these do comply with the letter of the law, if not the spirit of the law, for locking up your firearms. The one thing I don't like about these latches, and they're made by Pelican, right? They are made by Pelican. They are equipable on some Pelican products. They're very expensive travel series of cases with these crazy dividers in them. There is a company, a third-party company I'll talk to you about in a bit, who can get these, and they were very kind and helped me ship some direct to me. The one thing I don't like about these locks is that they're not key retaining. You might notice I can put the key in this position, I can turn it, and if I pull it out in this position, I can leave it locked. That would be desirable, but of course I can pull the key in the unlocked position as well. That's not as desirable. You know why? The number of fucking times I have had my luggage locked with these, because I have these on some of my equipment cases for work that are just, you know, they're work shit. They're tools and things. They're not my personal effects. They're not my laptop. I want to secure them with TSA compatible locks. Who gives a damn? The number of times I've had the TSA obviously use their keys to pop the latches, and they leave one of their notes in the side of the case, and not lock the case is a huge number of times. I've had this happen with my goddamn guns. The TSA, who literally has the key, can't be arsed to relock the case on the way out the door. Go to hell. Literally get in the fucking sea. We're gonna drop in a little extra footage where I'll show you how to modify these latches so that they are key retaining. That the only position you can pull the key is if they're locked. Slight inconvenience to you if you wanna just leave the case unlocked, which, I mean, I guess if it's in your hotel room, you want to, fine, whatever. That just means you can't latch it. If you want to leave the keys out of it, they have to be unlatched and not secured, because you're trying to force the TSA to do the right freaking thing, to do their job, and to lock your case back up if they want to take a peek in there. Let's show you that. You've got yourself a Pelican locking latch, and you would like to make this key retaining. Right now, it is not. Right now, in the unlocked position or the locked position, we can pull the key. We'd like to remove the ability to pull the key in this side-to-side unlocked horizontal position. What do we have to do? Well, we have to take this lock apart and pack a couple of those wafer lock spline channels so that the wafers can't traverse and move back out of position in this horizontal angle. Either a 5/16 or, if you're a metrique person, about an 8mm is going to be a little looser. We'll be able to pop that little screw off the back. That's the first thing we want to do here. All right, what are we looking at here? Well, that plug can just come right on out. Yeah, not a lot of security in here. We're just looking at a very simple 4-wafer mechanism, but think it through. So if you've got your plug pulled, something I recommend is don't remove the key. You have the potential for dumping the wafers out all over. Ask me how I know. And if you have to put them all back, well, it's a little bit of a fun reassembly game. But let's look at this. Let's look at the tail side. Let's look at this slightly round portion right here. You can see that normally would fit up through this half round hole right here. That would be controlling this blocker bar. So what is the blocker bar? What's going on there? Well, this is normally assembled on the back side. If you try to push, this plug cannot allow this to pop in there. This blocker bar is in the way. With that out of the way, the latch is unlocked. Well, which direction, which way can we turn? Well, flip it back to the front. It could either be this way or this way or this. So this way is locked, this way is unlocked. This way is locked, this way is unlocked. So unlocked, let's do it backwards in our head here. Normally the half circle cut would be facing this way, right? So we want to make sure that it is not possible to let the wafers in the lock move freely side to side this way. Well, how do those wafers mount in? We've got 3 little stubs. I'm missing one here, and it just so happens we've got 3 little notches and a missing notch here. Normally, this metal piece, this is the only piece of metal practically in the whole bloody lock. You know, I mean, this is Zamac or some kind of zinc cast material. But that would normally be stuck, let's see, right about in here. So what we care about are these 2 spline channels. We want them to not be open. We want them to be packed with material on both sides. I'm even going to make a small dot just so we can remind ourselves that this side and this side need to be filled in. So for the record, if we were to make a piece, maybe a 3D printed piece, we'd want it to be 10 millimeters long, a little rectangle, approximately, call it 5.4 millimeters, maybe 5.3 millimeters wide. And then the real key thing, we'd really want it about to mirror this thickness right here, right? So maybe 3 millimeters. Honestly, it doesn't have to be a full 3 millimeters. It could be about 2.5 millimeters like this. That would be enough to pack that channel. So we said about 10 millimeters by maybe 5 millimeters and about 2.5. So it's a nice, you know, half, half, half again kind of measurement. If you got a pair of those and you just glued them in to those two spline channels, because, you know, the plug's going to occupy this space. There's not a lot of room for them to escape once the lock is all fully assembled. You pack those channels in there, you're in a really good shape to give the TSA a forcing function to do their job properly. In the absence of any proper parts that we could machine or 3D print to pack in there, let's do the simple hacker solution of JB Quick. What do you say? If you've never worked with this product before, it is a two-part sort of steel fake epoxy. It is pretty interesting, and it does work a lot faster than your old conventional JB Weld. 4 to 6 minutes, I think they say, for it to harden up pretty good, or at least, you know, to start to harden. It'll cure properly in a few hours. That seems pretty good, right? Yeah, why not? So thank goodness that when it's already hard and you're working fast, you've made your two little Sharpie dots, right? So you know what the hell you're doing. Go ahead and just kind of smear that in there. There we go. We got a pretty good gob from both sides. That channel's not going to have anybody pushing through it. Kind of slough and smearing that guy around. What do we say? Looking pretty good on this side, looking pretty good on that side. If you think you've gone a little too quick and a little too thick, wait for it to harden. You can go in there with a file or a Dremel or anything to kind of hollow it out. Remember, you don't need to butt right up against the plug. In fact, you want the plug to turn kind of easily in there. All you care about is that there's no room for those wafers to sling side to side, to pop out of position if somebody tries to extract a key from that angle. All right, 24 hours later, we're reassembled. And what do we got? Well, we've got locked latches that cannot push unless we come in with our key or the TSA comes in with theirs. Turns. When that happens, this little blocker element's out of the way. These will operate. You could open your lock case, you could close your case. But in this position, the unlocked position, I can't get this key literally out of the lock. It will not extract. I have to turn it back to top dead center, thus locking this again. That's how I or the TSA can pull a key. So if you want this, again, this is not my doing. This is Color Case is who sells these from Pelican. Color Case is again, they're not, I don't work with these people. This is not a referral code, but they sell a lot of Pelican gear. They're a really nice company. Court, it was really nice working with him. He's got these in pairs. If you just want the latches, not modified, got to modify them yourself, of course. They give you the spare, installation pin because you're going to knock the old one out. The old pin's probably fine, but it's still nice that you get spare parts. If you want it, I don't even know what these cost. I'll put a link down in the what's it. And yeah, enjoy it. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. I'm happy when people make some good stuff for you to try. Pretty neat, huh? So installing these, not that hard. You've got to just bang out a hinge pin and pop a new one in. And that's really getting into the idea of why in the low stakes environment of cheap sort of luggage, why these might be fine, because there are other ways to get into cases. If someone's determined to crack a plastic, even a Pelican case apart, they can do it. If you really have high value items, sure, using a heavy duty padlock might be nice, but it's all a balancing act. What is the right course of action for you? Well, I've got, we'll call it 4 tips, right? Think of these 4 considerations when you're flying with firearms or any other high-value items in checked luggage. 1, try to check your case, especially if it's a gun case, as special baggage. Don't send it down on the regular conventional luggage belt. And there are plenty of airports where they don't get this. They say, no, we don't do that here. We send them all down there. You know the question I've started asking, and it's helped? Where do I check in if I have a dog? I don't mean a seeing eye dog or a companion animal or anything. I mean a dog in a giant kennel thing that gets checked under the belly of the aircraft. Call ahead to an airport if you have a high-value firearm that you're checking. Don't tell them that you have a gun. Call ahead and say, yeah, my family might be traveling with a giant, Rottweiler. You can't have that in the passenger cabin. What's the procedure for our dog? And tell them, they'll say, oh, well, you got to go down past this counter, and there's a person over here, and here's who you speak to. There's always a special place. There's always a special screening area for pets. High-value guns, in my opinion, should go to areas like that instead of being sent down on a freaking long-ass belt to nowhere. Or the balancing act between those is something called the straight belt. A lot of airports, a lot of check-in halls will have what they call the straight belt. And it's a small, like literally a 6-foot belt that goes from this side of the wall to this side of the wall. And it's maybe down at the end of the counters or something. And it's for odd-sized weirdo luggage that can't go on the long, winding, snaking belt. And if something goes back on the straight belt, that's usually, maybe you've seen this, you've had this with big sports equipment. The airport worker kind of reaches through that rubber curtain and it's like, hey, TSA, we got a special. So the TSA knows that people are right there on the other side of the wall. Or again, you get taken to the special screening table or special screening room where the TSA knows that you are standing right there. If the TSA knows you are there and that you have the key right there, that mitigates almost all these problems. Failing that, point number 2, if you literally cannot send your bag through a special screening area, they have to insist it has to go down the regular belt and screw you, buddy. Wait 15 minutes and if we don't call you, you're good. No, point number 2 is fuck that noise. After the 10 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever they say, you had a clock, you checked it, you're taking notes, you got their name, you go right back up to the counter. Don't wait in line. Don't like a chump. You go right in front of everyone else, in front of them. No, you go right in front of them and you say, hi, Francis, Johnny, Janie, whomever, freaking bozo. Yeah, so it's been 15 minutes. Can we make sure that bag cleared? And be prepared. They'll tell you something like, oh, no, why are you still here? It's been 15 minutes. You're good. You say, nope, I'm sorry. I've had locks cut before off my gun cases at this very airport. I mean, they don't fucking know if you've had it. I mean, I probably have, so you're talking and pretend you know me. Say, locks have been cut at this very airport on gun cases. The policy I have to follow is X. Well, there's a policy you're quoting. It could be your own personal policy. Who cares? I tell them it's my department policy. I'm not saying I'm a cop. I'm just saying that, and it is, like my office, we made up a policy that says if you're checking company firearms, you have to make sure they got cleared by the TSA. So I'm following my department policy. And I say, hey, no, get the TSA on the phone. And if you can't do it, find someone who can. And eventually you keep escalating and escalating till either somebody can get the bag room on the phone, or here's a secondary trick for you. In the luggage tracking software, how many of you get little updates, like, oh, your bag is on the plane, it's off the plane, your bag is on Mars, like it's in the app? That's not the only data points that they're collecting about your luggage location. The airline has very granular data as to where your luggage got scanned all the way through the system. You can ask them, you say, look, if you can't reach the TSA, please go ahead and check your system. Because I'm Delta, I'd be like, can you log into Snap? Or do you still use Delta Term? You're using their software language. Like, how do you know all this shit? Because I fucking fly all the time. Say, can you check the system? Can you look and see where my luggage is? Has it hit the pier? Is it in the hands of rampers yet? Because if it's not, then I know the TSA is still goddamn sitting on it. But if they say, oh yeah, no, it's out at the pier right now, it's gonna get loaded on a tug. I'm like, great, thank goodness, it's waiting for my aircraft to arrive. I can go sit in the Sky Club now. That's a thing you can do, but don't dismiss yourself until you've either gotten someone to confirm the TSA said it's great, or you've gotten a whole bunch of names, and you're gonna drop those names in a follow-up letter if something goes wrong. Point number 3, you've already seen it. The Abbas 8345 series. And I'm not a rep for this company. I'm not telling you you have to do this, but these are like $25 locks. I think they've gone up to about $28. They're not expensive padlocks, but they provide a pretty good amount of security. Do they make your luggage a target? Do they make your luggage a hassle? That's a balancing act you have to weigh and measure for your own purposes. I will say, on expensive trips, right, when I have a lot of high-end gear, I'll still use them. When I'm not doing that, well, point 4, as you saw over here, are the locking Pelican latches. And again, like, we kind of did a little hack job on these on this video. We're going to probably, if it's not on my GitHub already, it will be up soon. I'm going to give you a little 3D printable piece, little spline channel fillers that you can pack into those channels. You'll be able to print them yourself, or hell, we'll probably make them a free giveaway item on the website that I don't name if you're placing an order. And you just say, hey, I want to add this to cart. Like, fine, I don't care. I'll pay my warehouse staff their wages to pluck and pack. If you really want these on these, because we don't sell these latches. I do have a discount code. I think, did I tell you that? So yeah, Court, the young man named Court who works at Color Case, I was like, man, can I stock these? Because I have tons of people who would want these because I'm going to tell them how to modify them. He's like, yeah, but I mean, we can't, there's not a huge discount margin on that. We get them from Pelican. He's like, tell you what, I can make a discount code. Again, this is not a referral. I don't get anything out of this at all. But I'm going to put it in the, I think it's Court TSA or something, like his name, or Core TSA, because it was my company email address, whatever it is. I'll put it down in the goddamn. If you're interested in these, you get a couple bucks off. And, you know, this is not a high volume item. I don't expect most of you want to sit there pulling plastic parts apart on your desk and making this mod. But a few of you like me are just keen enough to annoy the TSA and to force them into doing their jobs. So that's an option too. By the way, if you like these, that's the giveaway this week. You know how this works. I throw this in somewhere, usually at the end of the video, but this is Editing Dave, who had to come back down to the workbench to throw the URL up here. Yeah, if you would like a pair of these, which are not cheap apparently, I double-checked the price. Whew, I'm glad about that discount code that they gave. Again, not a referral. I don't work for this company, but somebody's going to get a free pair of these. Hopefully you have an actual Pelican case. Yeah. Let me know if you want the stock version or if you want one of the modified versions, I guess. We can come up with a plan for you there. And that little 3D printed piece, again, look for that on my GitHub if you want to modify these. Or maybe we'll give them away. Who the fuck knows? We'll figure something out. But one way or another, if you like this, sign up, win it. And there's nothing that says these two things can't work together. You could have these latches on your case that you use for plenty of your trips, and once in a while, when you want to protect a real high-value item, you know, you put padlocks on there too. Maybe you put a little shackle change tool and some spare shackles in your bag like my dumbass. Again, none of this stuff is stuff I'm selling. Talk to your local locksmiths, talk to people online. I'll leave you a bunch of links below, but that's how it's been. And I've got plenty more travel coming up. I've been all over. I've already hit Diamond, I think, this year. And Christ, it's not even mid-summer. So no time like the present to upgrade your luggage if you need to. No resting on my laurels for me. I'm so happy to talk to you about this. I hope it's useful. I hope it's helpful. And whatever you do, wherever you fly, I hope that you continue, you and your guns, continue to stay safe out there. God damn, shit just falls right out of here. And those are all mixed up and messed up. Great. Boy, what fun. You get these in the blooper reel section, right?